Yeah.
So maybe then do the still do
You're
shows.
gonna go off.
It did.
Or maybe
You just have to make sure you have the time to film.
I might do it with some spaces. I haven't done that. I haven't done California.
Yeah,
I want to. I got so many connections over there, like Seattle.
That's easily arrangeable, yeah. Spokane State, too.
Yeah. We should do something over there, man.
There's a Mexican restaurant in Spokane called the Tito Burrito.
Really?
It's actually paid to you to go.
That's awesome. We should do some dates in the year when you're after you're all good and you're ready.
Heal up.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's about time.
Yeah.
My main problem right now is my eye is fucking swollen.
Yeah, lots of pumpkins and then lots of like other
It's not cool.
shit.
It's not fun.
Like there's this man
Waters
or
pretty
Astro
much
Man.
all the time.
Maybe Bono will show up. He'll get off the bus.
I need his help. If I've ever needed a bump in my life,
That's a phone battle, dude.
Yeah.
I've been waiting. See,
Stories, man.
Tony, I'm talking to some guys.
I gotta find
did they just get started or what?
Yeah, whatever you want to do, man. What are you talking about?
my buddy.
Well, we think 6:30. There's already even numbers up here.
Talk to the people that are
Probably coming. Probably not like actual. His mouth all swollen.
I'll start talking.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'm gonna get this started because I know Tony's got to go back and do some stuff, and I'd like to be respectful of that.
It's a school night.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Damian and Scott and Nathanael for being here. I'm sorry that we don't have the attendance of St. Louis, but I'm a much cooler guy than Dan Ryan.
That's a pretty low bar.
I know, but I'm trying here. It's not enough for you. But,
Hero.
you know, I was trying to create an event page for this like all week, and Facebook was giving me a problem because I wanted to fuck with Damian and title this event like, which I'll say, you are now attending the Missouri Poetry Renaissance.
Hell yeah.
But, yeah, I was gonna get a shirt made. And, like,
That's
have
the
it here for
point.
you.
That's the point.
You should
Do it.
have said
New
something.
Jersey.
It would've been better.
Missouri.
It's,
Love it.
All right. I'm sort of disorganized today. I don't even know the order I was going to call anyone up, so I'll just go ahead and do it. But so I am going to ask this next gentleman up. He and I met about 3 days after I moved here. I get this random message on Facebook, and so it's like, hey dude, I read a book of your poems up in Buffalo, and I'm like, who the fuck are you, man? I'm like, that's cool, but it turned out like, you know, we've been friends ever since. We've traveled together. We had a great trip in Texas, still my favorite trip in Texas. You know, I don't know, wasn't perfect, but I love Bobby Smith. I don't care what you say. But so I will just welcome up Nathanael Stolte.
Yeah. That's my dad.
Thank you, John. It's funny you mentioned that trip in Texas. That was when I met Justin Booth.
Hey man, salt guns and bunk beds forever. That's what I say.
Soft guns and bunk beds forever. We'll be reading with Justin Booth in a couple days.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say one thing. When I met Justin Booth, I'd known him for like 30 seconds. I picked the motherfucker up at a bus station, and he asked me immediately if I had any Adderall. And he was like, well, any of you boys got any Adderall? I forgot my medicine. And so when someone mentions Justin Booth, that's what I think of.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, John. Rome. Rome. Luigi from San Pellegrino, Italy, peels and pops the top of an aranciata. San Pellegrino as we sit in the shade of the back patio of the Tropics Hostel in Miami Beach, Florida. Luigi, in his black ball cap, V-neck, black athletic pants with a single white stripe that leads to his white leather shoes, tells us about his hometown through exhaled cigarette smoke. Luigi gets that faraway countenance as he looks up at the azure sky and into the past. He speaks of mountains and family, snow and culture. Luigi returns to the present moment, looks me square in the eye while he extends an open hand, palm turned towards the heavens, fingers lightly apart, and raises his hand slightly to whisper, Rome. As if he were sharing with me some ancient bit of magic, some secret, and I believe in this moment that he is. Luigi leans back and sips his San Pellegrino, takes a deep pull from his Camel cigarettes, exhales through his teeth with a hiss. Rome. Louder this time, almost a proclamation, a mantra. Luigi tells us about the cyclical nature of empire, how Rome ruled through culture and force, just like the American Hollywood dominates. Rome, Luigi says, did some good too, you know. Roads, art, poetry. And if it were still here today, I bet it'd be one big fucking strip mall, just like America.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice to be back in Belle in the winter. All right. It's a beautiful place, even in the winter.
I prefer it in the winter.
Spare the rod, spoil the palm. If I planted a garden, would you love me then? Sage to cleanse, wind flowers, cone flowers to call the monarchs and viceroys, sweetgrass, lemongrass, chamomile to brew in our apothecary's kitchen. I'll show you how to pet bumblebees hard at work, collecting pollen for the queen. I'll tend to mugwort to keep the scourge at bay, star anise for soothed dreams, and hawthorn to float our prayers, beggar's buttons, you know the rest. If I gave you my eyes so you could see how the world looks through chips of lazurite, what then? Would you see that my heart is a furnace, a constellation? If I folded your words as they formed in your mouth into honeyed origami poems, would you taste my worth? What if I took you to the snowfields of my youth, to Pancake Saturdays? I'll show you how Jim Henson taught me to seek wonder in the mundane, that my mind is a fraggle, a crystal, a labyrinth. Would you then lose yourself in the melody of my heartbeat? If I told you I was 28 when I noticed I don't know who I am, but by 30 I knew that to be a blessing, would you lick my broken summers? The first time I saw you, I held our babies in my arms, copper hair that defies gravity, eyes that refuse to choose a color, smiled on by ancestors across oceans and ether, a lifetime span that repose, a potential. My head filled with the smell of flat irons and olive oil, stocking feet danced on wood floors to records and brass and string and keys to Nina and Duke and Billy and Basie and Vic. You know the rest. If I lit a fire in autumn's hearth, shed my armor like leaves of rust to stand before you, stripped of pretense, would we compare scars? Or would you see that such comparison is to cheapen wounds that bleed poetry? The moment passes, giving birth to the reality that like Jesus, I am childless, but I'm older than he was when they nailed him to the tree for his sins, not mine. See, I have found the sins that I can live with.
Yeah.
I've been like yelling my poems like over drums and like, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I soften it up. Soften it up. So recently, you might have saw Buffalo on the news. You guys see Buffalo in the news?
Uh-huh.
Not for the football guy that got the like heart damage or brain damage or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because that happened too, I guess. I don't know anything about that.
Cardiac arrest.
Did he die?
Oh, not yet.
Not yet. Can't say that.
I can say whatever the fuck I want. What a waste of our resources. The people freezing to death in Buffalo, New York. 50 people died like 2 weeks ago in the cold when we had a big storm. Thoughts and prayers for fucking what's his name, right? The squat house that I used to live in like 20 years ago, which is where like when you're really kind of poor or like a junkie, you find a house that no one's living in, and you just like, and I don't think that could work here because if you try to do that here, people will be like,
No, it happens here too.
it does?
Oh,
Right. Well, we'd pull the boards off the windows, we'd unboard the house, make a big production of it, broad daylight, You know what I mean? We try to dress a little bit respectable, get our workman's coveralls we fished out of a dumpster, wear, you know, our overalls and stuff, and we pull off all the boards off the windows, and then we'd move in, go introduce ourselves to the neighbors that were outside barbecuing, like, hey, we just moved in. Yeah, and they'd be like, oh, you bought that place? Yeah, we bought that place, you know? And then we'd live there until we'd get a letter in the mail from whoever actually owned it, and it was telling us to get the fuck out of here. And there was one of those houses that is still doing that now. And it burned down during that winter storm we just had.
No.
It did. So the birdhouse on
The birdhouse burned
the
down.
Burning West. You know about the birdhouse?
Yeah,
From
everyone
Buffalo?
knows about
Yeah, the birdhouse. I lived at
That's
the birdhouse
fucking
20 years
crazy.
ago. When it was like new, when they didn't own it, when we didn't own it.
Dude,
And this
that place
poem is about that time. Abattoir. That was the summer I only washed my hair in cold water and gasoline. When I discovered that the wind speaks backwards nonsense, a prayer with the leaves. So I oiled the hinges of my shadow and opened up. Emptied myself of all the things I had gleaned from the playground, the milkman, the lessons of the broom, and from you. To become something you might call savage. I found that candlelight reveals the galaxy stowed in the eyes. I found that food stamps and commissary won't buy burial mounds in the oversold cemeteries. So we buried our own dead, first with and eventually without ceremony. That was the summer I brushed my teeth with sterno until my beard grew into a catfish and we all looked a little animal. But I slept with my boots on and swatted flies with my tails, and we smoked with hot knives, bartered in stick and poke, stolen bicycles and mischief. We baptized one another in salt, tears, and cedar. We carried water in our packs, in our humps, in our dreams. We made stew in a broth of used motor oil, bones we had picked clean, rinds, peels, skin, crust, lint, tobacco crumbs, and whatever we had in our pockets. But we ate our fill of it until we were nothing but bones, skin, and crust. We licked every plate clean so no one ever had to do the dishes. That was the summer the well-intentioned vegan girls next door called the ASPCA. We were fattening rabbits up for the coming winter. The officers came and hauled them away. Whatever fate befell them, befalls me and you. They were probably gassed, spoiling the meat. Those girls, they were doing what they thought was right, but so were we. You cannot blame a pure heart for the atrocities of slaughter.
Yeah.
And then slowly move the stool further away from me. This is a poem for Sister Barb. Sister Barb would sit at the counter, roll silver with the waitresses working thirds. Barb was a kind and private woman. Barb listened. One day, Barb didn't come in. A group of volunteers went to clean up her home. Cooks, bussers, servers. No managers, though. We found a life fractured by loss. Barb hadn't thrown anything away since her husband had died. Piles of rubbish blocked the door. Takeout containers from the restaurants, old ones we hadn't had in years, made a sort of strata in the kitchen. Layers and layers of food wrappers and packaging and maggots. She had piled adult diapers like an obelisk or a ziggurat, used ones taller than me next to the broken toilet. An alchemy of empathy and disgust formed in my gut at the foot of this monument. A labyrinthine temple of filth, feline acolytes, and flies. You've never seen so many flies. All manner of things everywhere, creating thin paths through the house. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to help her. But the smell, there's no words, no metaphor to do it justice. It smelled like grief. We filled dozens of contractor bags without even finishing the kitchen. It was when I found her wedding dress in the hall closet that I lost it. It was in a translucent, zipped-up dress bag like a time capsule or a memory in a pensieve, untouched by the devils of loss. The next day, it was decided that we were out of our depth, so professionals were called, And they came and cleaned her house, and she came back and rolled silver at the counter with the third shift waitresses. I have never loved deeply enough to truly break. I hope someday I can be strong like Barb and shatter.
Yeah.
All right, this poem I wrote after spending a bunch of time in Kansas City.
Woo!
So it's called July Valentine. For after Julio Valentine and that July that we spent there. Yeah. I stopped offering up silent prayers of gratitude and began to sing a song of worry until I was all out of metaphor, so I headed west in search of the nameless madcap riddle and a secret to divorce from self-pity. In the thrumming green heart of America, the blameless eagle was splayed in autopsy. In the unthinking lantern light of a Kansas City Independence Day, baptized with mirth and sober backyard campfire smoke, in the whiz pop dazzle shower of liquid fireworks, we began to outgrow fear. In Kansas City, they know how to celebrate independence. They know what independence means, not preservation of mercurial freedom from some imagined foreign oppressor, but freedom from the bondage of self.
Yeah.
And those are the poems that I wrote in this the book for this little here ditty we're doing. The New Jersey Invasion, The Shape of Poetry to Come.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm not from New Jersey though, but I like New Jersey.
Well, you know, while you're here, it's the Missouri Poetry
The
Renaissance.
Missouri. There was a time in my
I
life
say
where I had.
that because you both lived here.
It's true, yeah.
That's true. That's true.
There was a time when I had Missouri plates on my car. I had a Missouri driver's license, and I gotta say that day when I went to the DMV to get a New York State license again was very sad for me because they took it. They took the Missouri license.
They took it away.
They wouldn't let me keep it.
So
Yeah,
Missouri, we just stamp it and let you
See?
go.
Fucking
I don't know if we know how to do it in Missouri. In New York, they're like, oh, no.
It's not valid anymore, we stamp it.
Yeah. All right. It's called Rant and Absurd Minor. I want to love with impunity and flirt with obsession. I want to bathe my fears in peroxide, to turn their hair white. I want to make investments in junk drawers and overwater my moon cactus. I want to snip and pinch my shortcomings into a bonsai of absurd proportions, trained to be smaller and aesthetic. I want to continue to seek God in the eyes at home bum park and in the visions of the self-righteous. I want to be the bad guy who feeds truth off silver spoons like foul antidotes to folks who live in the land of spiritual make-believe. I want to take my roommate's cat to see a head shrinker so I can laugh in the face of someone whose profession is more ridiculous than mine. I want to come home to a sink full of dishes and actually care. I want to huff glue with the tramps under the Michigan Street Bridge, but they only shoot dope under the Michigan Street Bridge. I want to take all your insecurities and judgments and make a shrine to the marginalized. I want to be honest with my primary care physician, but not too honest. I want to trade my scars and track marks to the Make-A-Wish Foundation so some poor bastard can know rebirth. I want to give all my exes BD, but only something like chlamydia, because I am not a monster. I want to burn sage at Republican fundraisers in an attempt to remedy. I want to confuse self-loathing for humility. I want to get in a fist fight with my best friend, but he died years ago, so I have an unfair advantage. I want to do yoga with amputees, so I'm finally better at it than someone. I want to have a tea party with Cthulhu and the elder gods of Lovecraftian lore, so I can gain some insight into why I feel so fucking crazy all the time. I want to kiss the woman I saw in the elevator the other day, but not because I'm attracted to her, but because it felt like a good idea at the time. I want to let my last name die with me. I want to believe in the God of my fathers. I want to find out who my fathers are. I want to fold a paper crane of all the colors a mantis strip can see. I want to fold a paper crane for every time I felt like I wasn't good enough. I want to fold a paper crane for every delusion that I've ever believed. I want to take all these paper cranes to the crane spirit. I hear that's in Japan. I want to spare change at the airport to get airfare to Japan for me and all these paper cranes. I want to get in a time machine and go back in time to the 1950s and feed crack cocaine to white suburban housewives. Only to see the damage I've done upon my return. I want to consecrate gentrifying neighborhoods. I want to have unnecessary surgery and conform to an anorexic standard of beauty. I want to write a poem that makes books sexy. I want to ask a girl to the movies. I want to tell her to pick the movie because it's not about the movie. It's about spending time with her. I don't want her to pick anything that's number whatever in some dumb fucking series. Unless it's Star Wars. Because space is sexy. I wrote that before Disney owned Star Wars. I want to watch egos deflate and sincerity grow. I want to quit smoking cigarettes, but I already did that, kinda. I want to quit falling. I want to be a scarecrow and frighten all the suitors from the girl I'm in love with this week's front yard. I want to quit falling in love every week. I want to earn a degree in communications so I can articulate what's going on in my head. I want to shed my porn addiction. I want to sell my 4th Magic card collection, but I don't want to start my 5th Magic card collection. I want to cauterize my chakras to see if they were indeed important. I want to lose sight of my purpose so I can find it again and be excited. I want to know what my purpose is. Woo!
Yeah.
Woo! Belle, Missouri. All right. Here's an invention of my own. This is called an infinity poem. So right now, I need all of your help. We're all going to pray together. Not out loud or nothing corny like that. Say Sunday morning, you know. We're going to pray to whatever gods are still listening to the hopeful in Belle, Missouri right now. I hope you're doing it. Because if we don't, it's gonna suck. This poem's gonna suck. That way I can. That's a whole ploy to like shift any kind of blame. You know what I mean? It's like it wasn't me, you know. It was we just didn't. Y'all didn't do it right. You like that? All right. So what's gonna happen here is like you just add conjunctions. What's a conjunction? You say? I don't fucking know. Yeah. See? Schoolhouse rock. All right, it's called Rosary. Violence is also a universal language, and I can see from here that Damian Rucci rolled a 0 for charisma. It's like white light or bad luck, and I want to be woke in heaven, so I won't be a tail on this kite. Or so the soothsayers portend, and the world is kind of fucked up, so I'll just season the poem a little bit, you know, salt it to taste and shave haiku in my chest hair and remind everyone that people do hard drugs because they feel really fucking good. And the internet is an echo chamber of persecution complexes, and there's so much to know, like medicine cabinet alchemy and renditions of the truth, and that blue is the highest energy frequency, whatever the fuck that means, and that ain't a poem. It don't even rhyme or nothing, and I do nothing delicate. So if I'm gonna get down if I'm gonna get down the road with the hopeful, I'm gonna make sure you don't punch my ticket anymore and tell me all about it in 240 characters or less, and make sure it's just the perfect amount of crass, and we'll smoke some crack with Captain Kirk because Easter Island used up all their resources, like James T. Kirk praying the rosary, and I got my lies all over your pen. Google it. It'll help you burn cleaner when it's the year of the rooster again, and it's looking like they don't fucking read poetry in the winter in New England, and the phrase so good you can taste it. That phrase comes from shooting drugs, and just because you know what's coming don't always make it easier, and Jesus is sleeping it off. His birthday was last month. And he had a party sweeter than rock candy, and maybe you forgot that America was built on quicksand, and all I can say is good luck with that. It's like a spiritual dick measuring contest, and if you hold it up to your ear, it might put a song in your heart. And when I broke all my promises against your rough edges and reminded me that internet killed the porno queen, it was just a big dildo pyramid scheme, and as long as I'm wearing skin, it'll be some kind of history. Like when nodding and blacking out is not subversive revolution, and when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, and that's why I'm not a punk rocker anymore. Because I turned too many diamonds to coal. Like thrift store taxidermy.
Yeah.
I'm Nathanael Stolte from Buffalo, New York.
Hey. Oh, bro. That's the best setup you have ever.
It's because I wanted to impress Nettie.
When you see Justin Booth, if you're going to see him,
I am going to see
just,
him.
just remind that motherfucker that you're the talent. He'll share his ramen casserole with you, I'm sure.
I'm vegan these days.
Oh, okay.
No more rabbits.
Heroin only.
Heroin only.
All right. This gentleman, like, he will tell you repeatedly that he has not done heroin in decades, but he will do every other drug besides heroin.
I relate to that.
Yeah.
Not for as long as he's done it. But.
Yeah. No. But, all right. Just so you know, Damian, I'm the headliner.
All right, damn right.
You know.
Damn
Well,
right.
take our
damn
money.
right.
So with your 2 Key Customs book, do you have any more of that book?
Nah, we just did our second.
So I'm not mentioning it, 'cause there are no more that people can get.
Facts.
All right. Since I'm just getting to know Scott, I'm going to have you come up next.
Cool.
And so, you know, I don't think I really need to introduce Damian, but it's been, how long have we known each other now?
Like 7 years.
Yeah, something like that. No, only Charles Joseph has gotten older.
That's it. That's it. We look great.
But, man, it's been a pleasure, truly. It really has.
Damien, you somehow look younger than when I first met you.
A lot of life changes, dog. I stopped staying up late.
It's moisturizing.
It's a weird teleportation scenario.
Yeah.
God, my
All
man's
right,
so
brother.
dehydrated.
Don't ask him about
Oh, he's
that.
great.
Our next poet is Damian Rucci. I love you, man. Love you, buddy. Yeah.
Well, liquor at the bar.
What up? My name is Damian Rucci and I don't like wearing pants. I'm the fat guy who wears basketball shorts all winter. How you doing? So,
I'm glad that you no longer wear Dollar General shoes.
hey, listen.
Yo, things are going good in Jersey.
You're all right. Things
Hey,
are
man,
turning around.
those things look painful, that's all.
Dude, I had to share a pair of flip-flops with a hillbilly for a couple months out here. Times were rough. I'm that ass, too. Brandon Hendricks. Sheesh. So, yo, you guys ever been in a situation where, like, people are talking shit about you?
No.
And you can't even defend yourself because it's all true?
Yeah.
Right? They don't even know half the shit you really did. It's about that. It's called, and even if I did, so what? I guess you have me figured out. I never shot the sheriff, but I sure as hell broke the toilet. I prowled empty streets for baggies of white trash divine. I breathed the Atlantic and I cursed the sky. I played Robin Hood so we could eat, and I'm not sorry I'd do it again. I've chased country sunsets without ever once thinking to look back towards home. I went searching for myself and I got lost. I quit every job I've ever had. I've spit in the face of convention and paid the price of your own indignation. My head's been wet with the midnight dew. My shoes have worn down from running away. I swing for home runs every chance that I get. I know one day I'm gonna hit the ball. I'll roll my boulders up and down suburban hills and search for honest men at twilight. I traded my teeth just to get off. Can you believe it? My tooth fairy is a tweaker with a heart of gold. I made best friends in fist fights and buried the myths I held sacred in unmarked graves in Indiana. I've been rich in fleeting moments and so poor I couldn't afford to pay mind to any of your concerns. I lost faith in myself and I found it. Right where I left it, under all of my baggage. I walked into the belly of the beast and I came out with the motherfucker's head in my hands. What I'm trying to say is I don't regret a thing. Wow. So, here's a couple facts, okay? I made a really fucking dumb decision. And it's not supposed to be inspirational. Like, if your life has no direction, don't follow me. I quit my union butcher job to be a full-time poet, right? Weird experience, like nobody congratulate me because we're not sure how this story's working out. Roll the dice a little bit. 2, in New Jersey, we call ecstasy pills cookers. Remember that, okay? 3, I did a lot of fucking cookers while I was kind of being at work. This is called we're cooking and we're not even chefs. Enough of this, and you can cure the longing. Enough of this, and you can find yourself. Building mountains out of piles of dust. building meaning from the endless despair. But with this, we are not broken. We are constellations of trauma and loss. We are cogs in a sinister corporate machine. We're doing just fine until the drugs are gone. But even swan songs have gentle melodies, so we laugh and hum and stumble over the words like it's not the only damn song we know. We live by the golden rules of the ones who came before us. What goes on in this room, it stays in this room. And you're not a junkie if you're wearing your work boots. And that the counter in the closet, man, it's not for eating, but for following lives to their own conclusions, just like we're doing, following each balloon to heaven. In the blood on the floor, our reflections paint scarlet vignettes of better men who greet each morning clean and innocent, praying to their 12-step totems. But that life was never meant for men like us. We were born to drink the pain from the work nights, to climb out of the gutter where we were born, to make the whole damn neighborhood proud, to greet each morning with our heads above our hauntings. The real truth is something that can't be spoken. The sins of our fathers are scarred on our souls. We built ourselves up from the ruins of other men's dreams. You could clean up your act, but your eyes will carry the burden. And ours hold the stories when they come out at night, when the party is over, and our work boots are off, and the liquor outweighs our reservations. At twilight is when the dogs come out of the men. We could curse the heavens and tilt our hats to hell, and the silence that befalls us, it says it all. Right? So, I fucking love Missouri.
I know you
I fucking love Belle, Missouri. And I had a really wild experience out here. Okay, like I went out here saying I was not gonna have any prejudice, right? When you're on the coast, there's like this elitism that culture only happens on the coast, and everything else is just like whatever. It's like fuck that, that's lame. And I was like, I'm just gonna like try to get involved in the culture and hang out, have a good time. Like within a week, dude, I'm like shooting shotguns, like pounding fucking Milwaukee's best, like fucking hillbillies, like rocking and rolling. I had the time of my life, and I like fell in love with this area. I love it. Remember that. This poem's called Missouri. I hope I never see you again. Missouri, I hope I never see you again. Or at least that part of you dirty and anxious outside of the gas station. I hope I never see your barefoot children running through my dreams, pockets full of roses and crystal. I followed them down the country roads, through the creeks and vacant barns, to my neighbor's kitchen table. I hope I never see the serpent of smoke that slithers from a tinfoil boat and finds its home in the chasm of where my soul once lived, but has gone on vacation, has packed up his suitcases and tore off for Rolla Airport. I may never see him again. I hope I never see your red-lit, sinister streets, the shadows panhandling outside of the supermarket, the damned rotting at the motel. From the rearview mirror, I watch my neighbor fight an invisible foe. By the time he calls for help, we are on an interstate highway, and the only way to look is ahead. So, I love doing this poetry shit. I host mad poetry shows. John said, Missouri Poetry Renaissance.
That's right.
Write that down. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I host this thing called the New Jersey Poetry Renaissance, and it's cool. It's like this shit, right? We're out here, we're having fun. Poetry, bring it to the community. But there's a lot of fucking boring poetry readings. Am I wrong? Have you guys ever been to any of those ones? Everyone's all being elitist and
Because you guys are here.
don't say this one. But they're always asking like these really stupid fucking questions. Do you guys want to hear a poem about butterflies
Yes.
or redemption?
Yes.
Like who gives a shit? But I decided to ask a question for this next poem. Do you guys want to hear a poem about violent drug abuse, kinky sex, or black magic?
All of it.
Yes.
That's the right answer. It's a trick. It's called Little Miss Melancholy and the Left-Hand Path. To get to the muse, you have to get over the mood. And nothing's ever easy, baby. We're not pretty enough to catch the light of any morning star. The only breeze that whispers behind our ears are the sinister callings of the machinery of our own undoing. And death is the only thing that bonds us together. That every late night has a painful, haunted dawn. That every line of dopamine hides a tear-wet cheek. That every adventure brings us back with no money. And every friend will wander away a stranger. And it's always just been that way, you know. We traded your mother's religion for mana and sin. Found a new pantheon of gods and heroes haunting Midwestern streets, hitching rides through damnation. They too will die young, and we will turn them into martyrs, invoke their names and build legends from their bones. Maybe there is magic coursing through these veins, and the sigils along the floor are made of Dutch guts and silver. And we'll find Gnosis at 3 a.m, naked and pretty as if we've never seen the sun, and the death of this night will never come. We're less than angels and more than beasts, and I've never seen the gods, but I've heard them sing to me at night. But the light's piercing through the veil now, and we both ran out of things to say. If God was real, he'd pick her off of the floor by now. If God was real, we'd probably still be here right now, making these bones dance and riding lightning. When you're born to die, love alone is not enough to save you. Yay. So, do you guys want to hear a love story?
Yeah.
One time I was watching Casablanca with somebody, and it was all sweet and lovely, and the next moment, she snuck into my documentary filming poetry reading PBS thingy and destroyed $5,000 worth of equipment. That's it, the end. Here's 2 poems about that. This is called I'm With You in Walled Gardens. Ocean Avenue plays to us like a crust punk on an artsy street. Poseidon sings in radio static. The yuppies fumble from the bars into the stupor of twilight reveries. But we speak in stanzas, as if the words from our lips are sigils that we charge under a gibbous moon. You say you're looking for a flame to light your path, and I am all matchsticks and brush, a wildfire. I will torch the fields, but I hope you pray for rain. I've only ever looked back and seen smoke. The universe brings us to the party, but we choose to dance, or to wallflower, or to follow the calls of divinity and devils and swan songs. We both have people waiting home for us. Walled gardens still catch the sunshine. The plants, they flower, they bloom, they wilt come the harsh winds, and moments are indeed forever. This one's got like way too many Casablanca references. And I was trying to like impress this girl. Anyway, they actually destroyed $5,000 worth of PBS equipment. The end. Here's looking at you, kid. Of all the beer joints in all the towns in all the world, you walked into mine. Here's looking at you, kid. Here's the walled gardens left to rot. Here's the sigils on the napkins of dirty bars on the Jersey Shore. Here's the cemetery drive, muffled from the wind of an eclipse at 90 mph. Here's to a setting sun on the backs of the wanderers, waiting outside the hotel drunk. Here's the 2 bottle of Patron nights. Here's the backseat minutia. Here's the punk rock shows and sheds in the woods of Flemington, New Jersey. Here's the missing work, the misunderstandings, the half-truths, to stumble under sinister moons. Here's to you've never seen me sober before. Here's to everybody in Belle has got problems. You may be the one to sort yours out. Here's to I may be the only cause that I'm interested in. I never know which lines to cross or which to sniff. Here's to the boardwalk, the arcade, howling in the basements of New Brunswick. Church is in session and the priest just smashed his guitar. Here's to new beginnings and swan songs. Here's to I've heard your poems. I raise you a Bible of circumstance and clever words. Here's to friends and long nights. Here's to we may never have Paris, but we will have the basement, the Eiffel Tower and obelisk within our pounding hearts. Here's the next time, kid. I'm going to do a few more. I'm going to pull out a poem I don't normally do. This is called When the Party's Over. That's another Missouri poem. When the party is over, when all the bottles clink empty, when all the ashtrays are filled, when all the eager are now asleep, we will stumble over the mounds of our friends, huddled along the dirty floors of damnation. We will search the tables for anything to keep the night going, anything to keep our hope alive, and we will stagger homebound to our studios as the only souls alive in God's country. There are no saints awake at this hour. There is no innocence left at 3 a.m. The devil plays his fiddle behind the moon, our soundtrack to another milestone to oblivion. The gurus who haunt this hallowed hour know nothing but sin, but our hands aren't clean either. We are matchsticks, burnt out, headed to ash. We were bright souls, but we traded them to come, or to dance, or to sing poesy at the graveyards of our own futures. We are the moment, and we will find what we're looking for. At another trashed out house, or another broken down back porch, until we forget what we're looking for, and our shadows haunt the empty streets like specters desperate for a kiss from the sun. When the party's over, when all the lovebirds have coupled up, when all the songs have been sung, when all the smiling faces have fallen solemn, we will still be hurting, and we will be trying to survive. Oh, I got cotton out like a motherfucker. You got any water still? You have a water bottle everywhere with you.
I could spit in your mouth.
Hey, listen.
Damn.
Go.
I got you.
That's a better offer.
You shouldn't smoke weed.
I was about to say popcorn, go the other way, maybe it'll just go completely full circle.
I got you, okay?
My guy, giving me water 4 years ago. Give me now, bro. You're Jesus. Turn water to whatever the fuck that is. So, you know, everyone's so positive nowadays, right? I'm kind of sick of it a little bit. Like, I like a good deal of self-loathing. I think it's good for the soul. But who here has heard that, like, you're the main character of your own life? Who feels that way? Cool. That's cool. But all you guys are fucking wrong. Y'all are just the pregame. Some say life is like a river, and we're floating from the womb to our caskets. We always try to hold on, but we all drift away from each other. So it's best to sit on your hands and watch the world just pass you by. Watch the breeze greet grasses and never step on. Watch the gulls dance in cryptic seafoam winds. But some say life is like a race car, and nirvana can only be found with the wind on your face. With a stampede beneath your sternum, gulps of breath are milestones to completion. Life can end in a second, and any second without the thunder of release is too long. At the devil will get his due as soon as we get ours. But some say life is what you make of it. That men should build monuments out of their bones, to stack boulders on their shoulders until they break the heavens. Another obelisk smited by our own limitations. And we all fall short, and we all die just a little more alone. I want the last taste on my tongue to be the bitter lightning of adrenaline, to have the hair on my arms marching to the drum of my screaming heart, to feel the wind beat these hollow bones like it was the chorus of cherub angels. You'll know that y'all were just the pregame, and that life can end in a second. And when that second takes me, just know I fucking deserved it. That's my dad. Son.
Damian, I want to thank you for being better than you were in St. Louis. Because you were saving it for us. It's not a criticism. We're better than them.
Better.
All right. No, you were good both days. But you're better here.
Loose.
That's all right. So, with that, I'm going to bring up someone who's writing that I've been reading for a while. That I was given a book that I can't remember the title for the life of me, but I will find it in my house, by Charles Joseph, who spreads all New Jersey poetry like seeds, and so I wanted to meet this guy for a while, and I'm glad that you guys are out on the road together and nobody's killed each other yet. Of course, you haven't seen Justin Booth,
Not yet.
you know. But all right. So with that, I'm just going to stop talking and welcome up Scott Laudati. Scott, it's great to have you.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I've been hearing about Belle since I've known Damian. So I don't know what I was expecting. Complete anarchy.
He talks about because he wants to move back here.
I do.
I want to move here now. I've gotten free tacos.
Where
Yeah.
did you get those?
Where do we go? I don't remember the name. That place.
Mexican place.
The Mexican place.
So
Man,
good.
Yeah.
people have been holding out on these free tacos. I'm gonna leave so I can come back and get the tacos.
Yeah, right on. Well, we'll get you some gabagool when you come to New Jersey. Don't worry.
There you go,
Yeah.
man.
So in New Jersey, when we used to have by the hour motels, like so when you start sleeping with your girlfriend, finally you can like go to the highway stop and rent the motel for an hour. But when you got some money, when you turned like 18, you would go to the Poconos for the weekend, which is like a white trash mountain in Pennsylvania that invented the heart-shaped hot tub. So I only went there once, but this poem is about that. It's called My Bluest Valentine. Don't bake me a birthday cake this year. Let's go to Wawa and buy a carton of our old cigarettes and drive to the Poconos, to the mini golf where we made dirty bets around the windmill. And both of us got a rash that night from the heart-shaped hot tub. Or we can go back to your parents' basement with the wood-paneled walls and the one cold night we slept under the heater. And you whispered to me, pretend it's Aspen. Let's get married this time like we swore we would at 17, when all we wanted was to do drugs and fall in love. And we were still young enough to be good at both. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to read a bunch of poems that I haven't read yet on this tour, because I'm sure these two are sick of fucking hearing the same 6 poems. This one's called The Final Act. Look outside. There's still a little sun left over the bay. If you're still hungry, stick a hook through my lip and cast me out. I'll hold my breath and sink to the bottom. I'll dig my feet into the sand until a clam bites onto my big toe. And if I find enough, we can take the catch to New York and sell it on the old Bowery. There's a tent there with a tank full of dead manatees called the Mermaid Mausoleum. My mom took me to see it on my 6th birthday. The ticket came with a free photograph and a piece of bubble gum. Maybe my picture is still on the wall. Maybe we can refill my well of hate that's been running dry for years. Because the sun's gone down now. There's no planes, no moon. It seemed like the end my whole life, I think. And tonight I'll go to sleep under stars dead before the first man, wondering why it's taking so long for us, and hoping the credits roll soon. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've never fucking drank this much in my entire life. I was in a fraternity in college.
3 days with Rucci.
On night 1, I was doing like jump kicks. And I was fucking like dying.
Throwing up in the bushes.
Yeah. I know. Don't tell Tony that. That's like his house.
Don't tell Tony where the bushes were.
I don't think you'd be the
A lot
first.
of bushes.
Yeah, it's true. Apparently, yeah, no.
The Greg Edmondson Memorial Bushes.
I'll sit down for this one. This is called The Oath. The same girl I keep writing about and I got really into like The Doors, and we watched the Doors movie over and over and thought that like doing coke and fucking like taking a blood oath would be a really good idea. And we're still friends years later, so it's pretty cool. It's called The Oath. We slid our wrists to the side and put them together, and you told me your father had been murdered as our lines crossed, and nothing internal knew no boundaries. We didn't die like I thought we would, and you spread our blood around your face like war paint. 2 checks under your brown eyes. I tuned my guitar, and you danced naked like a shaman while I strummed an old folk song. My parents were looking for a second house in Florida, and I forgot to feed my mom's fish, and the dogs thought we were insane. But we were happy. And in the kitchen, we laid down like we owned the floor, and we bled together on my mom's new tile like love burrowing into the earth. When I see a pair of ducks flying together the ends of map, I think of you, the one who gave me more than her heart, the one who opened herself up. And even though we didn't make it to the end of the earth, I slept well, and I woke up in a better world. Thank you.
Yeah.
I go out and visit a buddy of mine in Amarillo, Texas, like every year. I try to get out there, and it's a really interesting place because it never rains there. It hasn't rained in like 30 years. But this has nothing to do with this poem. But last time I was there, it drizzled for like 2 seconds, and my friend was like, "We gotta get inside right now. There's gonna be a flash flood." And I was like, "Well, that's impossible." And then we ran inside, and literally 2 seconds later, a red roaring river came down the street, and then everything budded. Like the next day, it was beautiful, and all the bugs came out, and as far as you could see, it was like purple. It was Eden. And then the next day, everything died, and it hasn't rained again since. But this song is about being out there. This poem. It's called the Santa Fe Trail. You could read maps by starlight in places I've been, and you sleep like shit off the Mexican beer, and wake up covered in bites in hotel rooms where life is impossible, and anything still breathing wants blood. Do you know what you wanted at that taco truck in Dalhart? Do you know that there's a whole country out there who doesn't care about New York? As I do now. I might know everything now. I've drank from the shallow creeks. I've chewed the taco rellenos with fire still in the seeds. I looked up for God, and every grackle in that tree followed my gaze. Next time I'll follow the trails in the sand, and the small streams will lead me to the window rock. Or maybe the other way. To lie down in a graveyard where desert rats use cow skulls as ashtrays. And if the rains ever come again, maybe white petals will bud up from my bones, and a lost rabbit can spend a day sleeping under my shade. Thank you. Yeah, you're right, man. It's chalky in here.
Yeah.
We gotta drink some water today.
Yeah.
Scott, the last time I was in Amarillo.
Oh, I got a whole water bottle right there.
The last time I was in Amarillo, I walked in the path of tornadoes.
Oh shit.
Yeah, no bullshit.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just read 2 more and then we can all go to pageants.
Ha!
Wait, we can't go to the art gallery?
What?
The art gallery?
What about it?
Can we go hang out there?
You
Fucking
guys
love the art
can.
gallery.
Um,
I'm getting a nod, yes.
I got a pool table with my name on it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll go to the art gallery.
What you mean?
So we gotta go with you.
All right. Well, anyway.
Yeah, follow your heart, dog. I'm not saying shit. Fuck.
This one's called My Suitcase is Packed. It's like from the same.
Wait for him to bring your water,
adventure.
man.
All right.
Oh, you drink some water. Half the audience.
drink some water.
Is that a mistake? I'm not in charge here. I don't know.
Oh, look at Mr. Cool to the party over there.
Did you read in Amarillo?
no,
So
I
there's no
was.
bathroom?
No bathroom.
I forget where I was going.
Thank you. Oh,
I think I was reading the Santa.
Thank you, brother.
oh okay.
God amongst men, right there.
Anybody?
Yeah. Thank you.
A little dusty, but cool.
Remember, there's no
Why is everything like this?
So drink up.
No restroom.
Facts, dog.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way there's a lit seat in Amarillo.
It's work. It's really not much.
No, not really. But I'll tell you what's great
I'll
about
keep
the
running
right
back.
You can still rent a hotel room by the hour.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
See that?
Don't.
Bring it back.
yeah.
Baby, bring back that.
Amarillo, Texas, great place.
Oh, yeah.
What?
I'm about to leave.
Go for it.
Try to finish up. I don't care. Yeah, we got plenty of time.
What are we finishing?
No, all right, fuck it, I'll read. Oh, okay. This one's called My Suitcase is Packed. I know you're home somewhere out there in Colorado, where the desert flowers wait all year to turn yellow, and horses with Spanish blood whip their manes under lightning as the snows melt down to refill dry beds. Somewhere where enough was enough, and you had to put a continent between me and New Jersey. I've seen that land and pulled over to swim naked where the white crest shattered, and freedom is something more than a dream. There are no dead ends on your streets. The rains only fall straight down, and even stray cats come when they're called. I bled for you once when this war was still far from over, and the end hasn't gotten any closer. So I guess I'd do it again. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is the last. I'll just do this last one. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I like, I don't know what I was doing. I was like in the service industry, I think, and I lost my job. And I was like, oh my God, I have to join a union and get a pension and like, the world's ending. But like, if you see me, I'm not like a hammer swinger. I was disappointing to everybody who had met me. So I didn't last too long. But this is called What Are You Good At? I don't remember when it started, but the end came last Tuesday. I'd taken a Xanax and slept all day, seeing an old girlfriend and my dead dog in dreams or nightmares or some other hell that I'll have to relive if I don't get this life right. And when I finally woke, I couldn't ignore what all the bad poems and awful music had been telling me. I'd lived too long. There aren't going to be any new chapters in my book. There won't be any more songs. This can happen to some at 90 and others at 30. But I think for most it never happens. And that's why rational people still breed without fear of consequence. Don't they see the holes in everything? Don't they know there's no second coming? Most people start dying from the minute they're born. It took me 35 years to give up, and sometimes I'm still proud of that. The world didn't want a new poet, but there's always room for another plumber.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. All right. Paget.
Says it all. I'd like to thank you guys for being here. I'd like to thank everyone for being here. Next time you come back, it won't be on a Monday, and we get some more people here.
It won't be like 4 days before when I text you.
No, the problem that we ran into is we're actually competing with another reading tonight, and I've lost about 20 people that were going to come
Jeff,
because
right?
of that. In Jeff City.
Yeah.
So.
Hey man, I'm happy with love.
What reading is
There's
that?
2 poetry readings in Belle tonight.
No.
Killer.
Actually, Belle had 2 bookstores
Yeah.
for a long time.
That's so cool.
And Jeff City. The reading at Jeff City's at Gumbo Bottoms.
Yeah.
Have you read there?
Oh,
I did with you.
yeah.
Okay.
I remember. I think it was John Freeland's first one he
We
threw.
crossed the
Might have
castle.
been.
Yeah.
Might have been. But all right, go give these guys some more money out of that table and buy some books for them. So Damian doesn't have to pretend like he doesn't want to stay here.
Listen, you can buy worms, liquor, a blunt wrap, and a gun in a drive-through in this town.
Well, there's
And
that.
that's all I need. Like that, I don't even have a gun.
Hey man, you go to the
The
gas
option's
gun.
fucking there.
We're gonna head out of here. We got one more.
All right.
I don't give a shit.